All right, welcome to part 22222. We are going to be working on Queens, Another One Bites the Dust. We're going to first just do the first line, and then I'll offer maybe a little bit more advanced part that is the little variation of the bass line, the little chord change. So if you're with us from the first video, we're working on Seven Nation Army. Now we're doing this one. They're actually in the same key of E minor to start out with. So we've got our bass, we've got our drums. So let's just do the first one, which is very easy. So we're going to, again, let's start out with E1. E1 is just a good range for bass. We could go even lower, but let's start there, and maybe we'll experiment with a little bit lower. But let's go ahead and, again, we're going to be in 16th note grid. That works great for us. I can see that right there. So let's just hear this first note. So I'm going to get 3 of these guys. And these are 8th notes. I mean, you could start with 8th note if you want. 1, 2, 3. We're definitely going to need a longer loop. So I changed that right here, set it to 2. Down. And so this, our 4th note needs to be a 16th note. Dun, dun. And then our second phrase, question, answer. So here's our question. Dun, dun, dun. Ba-dun, dun, bum, ba-dun. And dun, dun. And so we have our first 16th note. So this is our second part of the phrase, or we'll call it an answer. First, dum, dum, dum. Da-dum, dun, 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 dun. And let's just see how this sounds. Uh-oh. Da-dun, dun, dun. So I messed up here. It's, so 1 E and then this is our second part, so a 2 and 3 3 and 2 and 3 and 2, 3, 4. A 1 and 2 and a 3, 4. Gonna let that ride out. Let's experiment with just putting another E in there. And let's go ahead and do a little bit of dynamics. Really quiet. Let's move it over a little bit. No, we don't want that. Alright, so boom, boom. I'm gonna just go ahead and lower the volume on these, the uhs. It's giving us a nice little feel. Because we have to imagine that, we're trying to recreate this like a bass player would play it. And so the note preceding, the note coming before these E's on the is going to be a little bit quieter. Ba-doom, boom, bop, ba-doom. All right, so let's just go ahead and play this bass line. Let's go a little bit faster. Boom, boom. Another one bites the dust. Yeah, that's nice. 4 on the floor, real easy part. For our hi-hats, I want to, let's go ahead and draw them in, because I want to have one loud and one soft. So using the draw tool, I can, when I draw, I can adjust the volume. So let's just go ahead and make this second one softer. All right, I'm turning the draw tool off. I thought I was turning the draw tool off. All right, so I'm selecting both of these notes. I want to make sure I select the whole line within my ribbon and duplicate. just for fun, I know that there's a part that just has claps, so let's make another rhythm. And let's just make sure these get raised. Let's duplicate it. The only thing you need to be careful, if you're in Draw Tool and you draw something very quiet, all the other notes that I select or put in are going to be that quiet. So careful. If you put the Draw Tool in, make sure you kind of get it back to a level that you're happy with. So I can see the velocity down in the left-hand corner here. Let's make one that's just bass line, or just bass drum. And now I have 3 phrases. Alright, so let's go ahead. If you have created this and you got it with all the dynamics and the little bit of shifting, let's go ahead and create the B section. So we were in E minor, and now we're going to so I just played it on my little keyboard, but let's go ahead and record it in. So I'm going to make sure, let's rename this one, rename this one, rename this one, rename this one, so that I know that these are the first part. So let's go ahead and create another one. All right, so back to, we're going down to C1, and so, oh, well, that's not a C1, is it? So C1, here we go. Get it? C1. That's dumb. So and so just go ahead and follow along with what I'm doing. Also, a nice thing that you can do here, sometimes there's a little sound thing. And, alright, I'm going to take my draw tool off. Dun, dun. And just kind of extend this. Alright, so I want this to be 4 measures long. I'm going to take my first phrase. So I turned this on, this MIDI preview, so whenever I have a note in, it can be kind of helpful. It's up to you, but here's the little button for it. It's this little headphone. Let's just go ahead and duplicate that. Oops. Careful. I want this note to go up an octave. So I'm just using Mara. Alright. Then I want this first phrase again. Be very careful when you're copying. Make sure you copy the entire phrase. Well, it doesn't matter as much if you're not duplicating. So I can copy this, and as long as I start here on phrase 3, which my little blue arrow is here, I'm going to be right. And then let's just hear the 4th bar. So let's just take this. Dun dun. I know I need. that's it. So now let's go ahead and draw in some dynamics. So anything that's kind of leading up to a beat, I'm gonna just make the dynamics a little smaller. So the and does. So I'm kind of doing this manually. I could have just done this on the first one, and maybe that would have been a little easier. Alright, and there we go. So let's just go ahead and maybe we want one of these in this bass line too. We don't want that. Let's get a different instrument. Let's just do this for now. It's a little funky, but all right. So let's go ahead and copy this this track. So we got the same thing, and I want to take this, and I want to raise the whole thing up an octave. So remember that if you mess up, you just press Control Z. Oh, but I didn't mess up. So Shift Control Z is undo your undo. So redo. But anyways, okay. So we're gonna go here plus 12. Make sure I'm playing the right scene. And let's go ahead and set this. So right now, this is our quantization. If it's at none, whenever I press anything, it's going to instantly happen. Basically, the quantization is going to be like, it sets things to the metronome. So it's not with my metronome. I like to keep this maybe at a half note or a whole bar. So that makes it so if I click this, I get a little bit of lead-in time, which is nice. All right, let's go ahead, rename this to 2, just so I know I've got my bass drum or my bass part 1 and 2. And I'm gonna cue this. And let's go ahead and just have one of these down here. And let's see here. So this is my order. And this is my claps. So let's just name that claps. All right, I think I want the claps maybe there. So let's try this. So what have I got? Oh, there's nothing in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that one. So that's a good one. Then I've got alright, little intro, little outro. I'm going to start with the first track, so I'm going to make sure it's playing. Alright, so let's go ahead and record this. 2, going for a 4-bar phrase. 3, 4. Alright, next. 1, 2, 3, running my mic into this, and my audio records too. Okay, so I can see here we've got some 4-bar phrases. Actually, so these are two. I kind of called each of these bass lines one phrase, but in reality, I would be counting this 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. So there's two. These are they're two 4-bar phrases, or it's simply this bass part, this entire bass phrase 4 times. So that's why I called it like that. But just in terms of pure timing and our metronome, this would be 2 4-bar phrases. So each of our kind of larger phrases, we'll call this part 1, part 2, and then our B section is only 4 bars. So 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. So there you go. We've recreated 2 parts of Queen's what is their song? Now that I've done it, I can't even remember the name of it. Another One Bites the Dust. Excuse me. All right, enjoy. Stay tuned for part 3.